What is up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are looking at Jarvis Landry, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, giving you guys an in-depth analysis of what we can expect from him in 2020 and giving you guys an outlook over where we think he's going to finish in fantasy. Before we get into that, we're doing a lot of these videos, so if you like this kind of content, trying to get ready for your drafts, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. And also check out our website. It's free, but you can access it by going to fantasyaddictionnetwork.com or clicking that link in the description. Get all of our rankings for free. Heading up to the season, we're updating those all the way until the kickoff. Anyway, let's get into taking a peek at Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry last year was kind of the forgotten stepchild and will probably continue to be so. It's pretty much his MO for his entire career. Comes in, everybody's excited about Odell Beckham, think that Jarvis Landry is chopped liver, nobody cares, and he finishes the year with 83 receptions, 1,174 receiving yards, and 6 total touchdowns. That put him at 12th at the position, so making him a wide receiver 1 yet again, and fantasy points per game of 14.8, which put him at 22nd at the position. When you take a peek at his week-by-week stats, he had a few blow-up games that really helped smooth out those stats, and quite a few games where you probably weren't very happy starting him, similar to Odell Beckham, but with a few more boom weeks. 3 weeks where he finished at top 6 at the position, a couple other wide receiver 2 in 3 weeks, but then you see there's 6 red games, so definitely not happy starting him every week, but where you got him in drafts, it was definitely a value getting a wide receiver 1 because he was I don't think there was a single draft where he was drafted inside the top 12 receivers. So still outproducing his ADP like he does every single year. Now, there's a caveat heading into this next year. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll keep that as a teaser until we get through the advanced metrics that we want to look at. So he and Odell together made up over 50% of the target share for this offense, and it's most likely going to stay that way. I don't foresee Austin Hooper taking a massive chunk of targets. There's not a lot of vacated targets. We'll get into that in the Austin Hooper video. But I would expect the target share to still remain pretty even between Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham getting more of the deep targets, more of the high roller type passes. Hopefully he'll be more efficient with those this year. And then Jarvis Landry competing with Austin Hooper and Kareem Hunt for those short and intermediate over the middle catches. But he's been so efficient for all of his career, it's hard to imagine that they would just completely forget about him. So finishes the year with a 26.6% target share, which is 6th most in the entire NFL. And he also had the 7th greatest share of red zone targets at 28.4%. It was 7th best in yards after the catch, and unlike his teammate, much better in his true catch rate of 83.8%. His average target distance was a little bit lower, as we kind of mentioned. Odell Beckham taking away most of those deep targets, Landry being used more in the intermediate zone, but that was where Baker was a bit more comfortable last year. And again, unlike Odell Beckham, finishes with only 1 drop on the season instead of 11. His wide receiver finishes since 2015, he's finished as the wide receiver 9, the wide receiver 13, the wide receiver 4, the wide receiver 18, and the wide receiver 12. So, and then when you consider that he's still being drafted outside of the top 20 wide receivers, I don't really know if there's any way to get this guy respect. But again, I've warned you about a caveat. He had hip surgery. It was kind of like most people know that, but it was pretty underreported. Rumblings now, and you haven't heard much of this in the mainstream because there's not really any knowledge of how he's progressing in terms of recovering from the surgery that he had in the off season. But the type of surgery that he had can keep a player out. Typically, the recovery time is 6 to 9 months. So if he hits on the early end of that, he hits towards 6 months, that'll bring him back right in time for training camp. But if it's delayed for any reason, and he goes into that 7, 8, or even 9-month category, Jarvis Landry could actually miss a significant portion of the season, and nobody's talking about it. And probably should have brought this up in the Odell Beckham video again, and obviously we'll redo the Odell Beckham video if anything surfaces that leads to significant doubt about Jarvis Landry starting. But if Jarvis Landry is not active, that changes everything for how we feel about Odell Beckham. Part of the reason why we feel so poorly about Beckham right now is because Jarvis Landry is there taking the majority of the work that he needs in order to truly hit his upside. And if Jarvis Landry plays the whole season, well, Here's his projected stats for the full season: 79 receptions, 1,023 receiving yards, and 5 total touchdowns. That would make him a wide receiver too. 213.8 fantasy points. It wouldn't be that surprising if he outproduced this by a little bit. If he remains the main target share in the red zone, I expect Odell Beckham to get a little bit more looks in the red zone. Austin Hooper will probably take some of that target share in the red zone away as well. Touchdowns are the hardest thing to be consistent year over year. Last year was a bit of an anomaly considering how much he was targeted in the red zone, but this isn't really taking him down all that far. So it's not impossible to imagine a world where he has more than 80 receptions and more than 5 touchdowns yet again. So keep your ear to the ground on this one, guys. Right now, Jarvis Landry is a tremendous value where he's going. He's going late. I've seen him go as late as like the 7th or 8th round. Now, granted, every draft is going to be a little bit different, but that's tremendous value for a receiver that you know what he's going to do for you. But again, we got to keep our ears to the ground. We got to pay attention to what's happening, because if rumors start slipping that he's not going to be ready by the time the season starts, boy, does that change everything. But we'll continue operating as if we expect Jarvis Landry to play the whole season. He doesn't really give you tremendous upside in this offense because we're not projecting this to be a high pass volume team. But he's pretty much one of 2 main targets outside of Austin Hooper and Kareem Hunt as your other pieces there. He and Odell Beckham should get the lion's share of the passing volume, and he'll continue to be a consistent wide receiver too that gets drafted well below that. So assuming he's healthy and ready to go, really like Jarvis Landry where he's going this year. And if he's not, then we need to revise our Odell Beckham video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I love doing these. They're a good bit of work, but they're really fun, and they really help me understand a bit more what the fantasy landscape is shaping out to be. So if you guys like this video, hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this, and hit me up in the comment section below if there's any more obscure players you want me to do one of these videos on. Would love to be able to get that done for you. So let me know, and we will see you guys in the next video.